Hello and welcome to Bits and Pieces, the friendliest ticket podcast. That's right, this is the friendliest ticket podcast, which over the course of 88 episodes has featured 44 friends. So you're statistically more likely to have booked a place in our show than a seat to watch a World Cup match in 2023. 88 for the uninitiated is referred to as two fat ladies in Housie or Tambola, a not so subtle nod to the genius strategy of the ACC to allot a reserve day only to the India Park game, thus ensuring that the match doesn't get rained out when one fat lady sings. It needs a second fat lady to sing as well. This is episode 89, recorded on Sunday, 17th September 2023. 89 in Housie, of course, is almost there, which is the stage we are in prior to the ODI World Cup, with teams all over the world rediscovering a format that they had formatted from their memories. And with a very open field, it is fair to say that everyone's chance at this stage is 50-50. I am your host, Tony, and much like the OG gracious host of the Asia Cup, which was Pakistan, I shall cede space after the episode kicks off to some wonderful islanders whom I shall now proceed to slander. First up, joining us on the wonderful occasion of Ashna's birthday, we are joined by not only his greatest fan, but also someone who shares so many of his traits, someone who follows the game intelligently and knows all its laws, its flaws, and can bring out the claws as and when needed. With sharp and funny takes and on-point analysis, she'd much rather spend a birthday in the cricketing nets to challenge herself to the next level. She always pulls her weight and lifts every team she's a part of. Please welcome lawyer, power lifter, and cricket fan par excellence. Say hi, Vaishnavi, who just vanished.
Hi everyone. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Very nice to be here.
Happy birthday to Ashna.
Happy birthday to Ashna. Yes.
Also joining us, also a member of the Ashna fan club and lifetime president of FIFO, the group night watchman who summarizes all the goings on in the punchiest pickle that'll tickle your senses and make you chuckle. The founder of Nerd Kitchen who can set the bird bitchin'. His Twitter bot got the goatee in the move of the Shaz Badmash himself. He's got an unassuming look but a biting sense of humor. He might appear to have a poker face, but he'll hit you with the Bram Stoker mace. The Hyderabadi who's either a baddie or a foodie, but always a goodie. What I can say, looking at him, is may your Mayur tribe increase. Welcome, Max Da Vinci.
Thank you. I guess I will take all of that. There are a few words in there which I have no idea even exist in the English lexicon.
Max, tell me something. When he was going for Mayur, were you thinking it would be Mayir by any chance?
Where I live, that is pretty much how my name is pronounced. So, yes, it happens all the time. It's no longer offensive.
Swiftly moving on. Also joining us, the man who calls himself the economist because he puts the econ, the rational thinking cap in the wild world of sports. He puts the enormous in multifarious talents from teaching to quizzing to blogging to sportographs, and puts the mist in gorilla in the mist, because he dresses like an international man of mystery and spends an unhealthy amount of time in corporate boxes with ICC members. Here's a question for you about this dashing quizmaster. What's the difference between Pope Francis's navel before he takes a bath and Brother T's standout feature in his on-point attires? You don't know. One is a belly button of papal lint and the other is a ballet button of lapel pin. Lapel pin. Papal lint. Close enough. Anyway. Hey. Sorry. Please welcome the man who puts the holy bath in polymath because he will baptize you with the spirit of curiosity, the kindest brother of them all. Say hi, Brother T. Tareque.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Tony. That was 5D chess level intro.
Yeah, I hope this pod episode gets replayed, so we'll get more plays in the algorithm and all of that. Also joining us, the undisputed champion of the net run rate. Just like the net run rate, he's always present, but not always easy to understand. But if you follow along closely, it might become relevant towards the end of the tournament, or not. Who knows? But always a lot of fun. The man who can run after a ball to the boundary like Mohammad Siraj, or run drinks onto the field like Virat Kohli doing the Haaland run, or like Yuzvendra Chahal running out to bat before Mukesh Kumar can even put his pads on. Always running with always 100% joy on his face without caring about the end point. The man who eats books and belches a word salad. Say hi, Samir Mohan.
Hello. very opportune reference of Yuzi walking out before Mukesh Kumar.
Were you
And-
only mentioning RCB players on purpose? I know Chahal is not with RCB anymore, but
these are all runs that happened. Did you not watch Mohammad
Also
Siraj's
all-
run to
but
the
also
ball?
Also
all
RCB.
Also
all
RCB.
RCB.
Mukesh played one season for RCB.
Chahal is RR now, by the way.
I know,
So,
I said that. Yeah,
please.
but when you're
Mukesh
talking
was
about
net bowler.
Samo, when you're talking about
Okay.
Samo, RCB is inevitable.
Wait, I'm going to
Eager
fact
to
check
join
that.
the pod and wondering where his intro is fresh off the most listened episode of Bits and Pieces with the wonderful Sharda Ugra, the man who laments that cricketing administration has moved on from kindness and gratitude for fans, from Ehsan money to no Ehsan, only money, who's also worried that cricketing administration has moved on from good broadcast with great commentary for fans, from Malcolm Speed to Helcom Feed, that they've moved on from great fan experiences to actively ditching them and laughing about it, from Harun Lorgat to Maroon Lolcat. The genius who has created a completely new market for a range of products, including foot wash and foot sanitizers, because he now urges cricket fans to vote with their feet. The guy who you don't be telling about foot massages because he's the foot fucking master. Say hi, Nitin Sundar.
Hi. Thanks, Tony. I'll have to go back and listen to that intro again to understand everything that you said. But yes, the most listened episode of Bits and Pieces, Sharda Ugra's episode, netted us about 590,000 listens, give or take a few zeros. I'm sure this episode is going to break the record. So let's do it.
Yeah. So who wants to go? Lots of cricket all around the world happening simultaneously. I think the best place to start would be with Vaishnavi. Did you watch the Asia Cup, Vaishnavi? Or is there something else that we should go to first?
No, I did watch it. Funny part about today's match is I switched the TV on and I sort of dozed off, and I woke up in India when Sri Lanka had lost 6 wickets. So essentially, I slept through the final. So that was tragic.
A beautiful metaphor for the Sri Lankan batting line itself. but yeah. Impressions on Asia Cup as a whole.
It's a weird Asia Cup. Has been a weird Asia Cup. We all know why also. And I think you all went into ample detail on that last episode. I would have thought actually had someone else won the Asia Cup, it would have been just desserts almost for the BCCI, but that did not happen. So yeah, that is generally my encapsulation of the entire tournament. Yeah, I enjoyed watching Pakistan play. Actually, I enjoyed watching their pacers, which is not to say that India's bowling lineup hasn't done well. I think it's been a good performance largely from India at least. World Cup, they look somewhat World Cup ready at least, I would have thought.
Yeah, pretty much. Except I know what you're alluding to when you're saying somewhat World Cup ready, because there is one slot that is apparently still open. And Max, what better time to bring you in? So I know you didn't watch the start of the match, but before the match, Sanjay Manjrekar was actually telling Mayanti on air that he apparently got to know that R. Ashwin is in the reckoning, and if Washington Sundar doesn't perform, they are moving on to R. Ashwin next. And apparently Rohit Sharma has clarified the same as well. So are you behind this whole thing, Max? What is happening?
Kudrat ka nizam. This is what it is. This is how it plays out. And Washington Sundar has never played more than 18 hours of cricket at a stretch. So it is very much a possibility. But I wanted to add to Vaishnavi's point earlier about the Asia Cup. The Asia Cup reminds you of the time when we were all a lot younger, and you wanted to go spend some time with your girlfriend, and your parents would not, be very, will not be very happy about it. And so what you do is, you get a bunch of friends and say, we're all going together to go watch a movie, and you'll all go to the movie theater for four of your friends, you buy tickets, and then, those guys will be somewhere else, and then you and your girlfriend will find a corner seat. And just as you start, getting cozy, your neighbor auntie will be sitting right behind you, right? So that kind of KLPD is what this Asia Cup has been throughout the years.
But enough about Jesha and Prabhudeva hanging out.
Well, in my case, the neighbor auntie was Sri Lanka, but yes, I mean, you can take it that way as well.
54.
But yeah, that's how this, and this one has been the absolute worst of all Asia Cups. Even last year's, what was fine.
Look at it. Nitin, you buzzed yourself in with that expression. Go for it.
Wait, you're going to defend this? Okay, I'm now interested. Yes, please go.
He's going to defend 50 all out.
No. Firstly, I liked how Max said Asia Cup reminds us of our childhood and all of that. This Asia Cup itself reminds me of our childhood because it started like some 6 years back. It's been going on forever. Do you remember when Pakistan played? I don't know. Was it Nepal, Hong Kong, some team? And it started in a different country. Like some partition happened. Like global borders got redefined. Precipitation, global warming happened. Lots of rain happened. I mean, but jokes apart, when it was not raining, this has been a fantastic Asia Cup, man. Like, there have been 3 one-day tournaments happening in parallel, right? There's been England versus New Zealand, there's been Australia versus South Africa, and there's been the Asia Cup. At the start of this tournament, I definitely was more clued into those two series because I was hoping that there'd be, better cricket to watch, more closely fought games. All the closely fought games have been in the Asia Cup. Australia and South Africa have been taking turns smashing each other to pulp, and they have a 3-2 scoreline after 5 one-sided games. In this Asia Cup, you had Afghanistan do Afghanistan and not qualify in that crazy game. You had Sri Lanka and India play an absolute classic. You had Pakistan and this is where things get messed up. There was
Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Pakistan and Sri Lanka as well.
Pakistan and Sri Lanka, of course, yeah, which was the fight for the final, right? That was again another close game which went down to the last over. The final was shit, yes, as were a few other games. But overall, we had some fairly decent games, man. Like, I don't know.
How many 50-over games did you have in this tournament so far? It is a 50-over tournament, right?
50
It's a trick question.
13
trick
games.
question. No.
13 games
I don't know how many games went to the 50th over, but lots of games went to the last over, whether that was the 40th or the 42nd.
13 games now.
Yeah, 13 games.
A technical answer he's giving. Hey, his question is how many games lasted the distance because of the rain, man.
But good time to bring Brother T in, who has observed the Asia Cup from close quarters. You were in Colombo for a while, Brother T.
Brother T is basically Prabhudeva, in case people didn't know.
So I was the stand-in for
this is an
Prabhudeva.
update from what he
dancing
compared
on the
to
ice.
before we started recording.
Dancing on the ice in Colombo.
So I did that actually during the Bangladesh Sri Lanka game because I was actually in the corporate box with a straight view, and I left that because I wanted to dance in the aisles with the Sri Lankan crowd in the second half.
Jailer songs.
Jailer.
To jailer
Hukum.
songs.
Tiger ka hukum.
So I think to Max's point and Nitin's point also, it got much better after all the matches, especially the Super Fours, when everything came together and it was at sort of one venue or a more compact schedule where you could actually keep up with which match is happening where and which team is playing, because the initial part of the schedule, for obvious reasons, was all over the place. And I think the Bangladesh Sri Lanka game also was not a bad one at all. It was an ODI that lasted the full length. There was intrigue till I think the last 2 overs. It became too difficult for Bangladesh. And obviously the Super 4 overall was very fascinating. Even with Bangladesh beating India, it was a dead rubber. But for Bangladesh, this is I think the 3rd win in the last 4 ODIs against India, so which is quite impressive.
Sorry, forgot to add, Bangladesh versus India also went to the last over and was a classic game. So I don't know, Max, which tournament were you watching? Were you watching some older version of Asia Cup?
No, but he was only thinking about his girlfriend and neighbor.
No, but I totally get Max's point about this whole geographical shift, and which feels like everything going upside down, which was the confusion initially. And to Vaishnavi's point about BCCI getting the just desserts, I think partly they got it because the India-Pakistan final that is so contrived to try and make happen did not happen. So you have at least that. And anybody who expected Sri Lanka to show up, I mean, depending on what they did in the Super 4 game, would have wanted a better final, but that did not quite happen. Just got overawed today. But I think again, I kind of side with Nitin on that. It's a very good tournament. The last tournament was great because again, Sri Lanka came out of nowhere to spring a surprise, and also a tighter tournament. this tournament at least lose a game. So, I think the Asia Cup by itself is a great property. If there are some people hell-bent on ruining it, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
By
Nitin
some people, you
Sundar
mean
is,
Max?
Which is proverbial needle in banana happening for Max.
Sammo, tell us your thoughts.
I just have one very small thought. I think this is the best Asia Cup when it comes to the cricket that was played. It was probably the worst tournament in the universe when it came to whatever was happening off the field, because the noise that was happening off the field was so deafening that you never focused on the cricket. Right from the time, I think, when Afghanistan did that whole harakiri, everything on Twitter was about how Colombo, Sri Lanka was getting flooded, and there were these random statements coming in from PCB, and then the reserve day harakiri happened, right? It just overshadowed some fantastic cricket that has been played, good individual performances, good performances that can shape up well in the World Cup, which looked promising, right? Like, for example, Tikshana did not play the final. He's out injured or whatever. Two Pakistani frontline bowlers were injured. So you had all of this happening, and yet your entire consensus was, yeah, you had to either do a visit Sri Lanka or a visit Pakistan or visit your nearest meteorological department office just to make sure if the game happened, right? That is not a good thing to happen, especially for a tournament like Asia Cup, which has a lot of history, a lot of rivalry. And yes, few pod episodes before, we had that whole trivia thing where India versus Pakistan had never played each other in a final. So despite all of this contriving that Brother T said, it didn't happen. I mean, the reserve day was the most obvious brazen attempt for an India-Pakistan thing to happen. And I mean, this has been spoken ad nauseum, but I think it's high time we had an India-Pakistan. Like, my takeaway from the Asia Cup is we need an India-Pakistan bilateral series. That is all.
So you
Nitin
want a
Sundar.
5-match series where the scoreline is 3-2 and 5 one-sided games.
Here's the thing, right?
No,
The
one
last time
washout, 2-all.
which is a good result. But here's the thing, right? Was looking at older matches, 2004, when India-Pakistan happened, right? Like the whole Karachi thing, the 349 game, 2003 to 2004, 3-2 scoreline. But India was good on making that 3-2 scoreline into 5-0. They were, I think, outplayed thoroughly in one game. So 4-1 it would have been. But rest of the games were pretty close, right? So you never know. It can absolutely spring like a suspense thriller. But then you have all of this posturing that you have to do, right? Like, I mean, should I actually go to that point, Tony, or you want to segue to that?
In the point.
I'm on the Jai Shri Ram Oda point, and then you had
one
Tiger
small
Cup.
point he said 5 minutes ago.
This is like the Asia Cup itself. You don't remember when it started.
Tinna Kuttiya, we will do a multinational
Tinna
tournament
Kutti
just
story,
before the
but
World
yeah.
Cup, longer than World Cup.
Hey, but it didn't take more than 2 minutes. I've been timing it to
But actually think about it. The Asia Cup, how long is the World Cup? I'm pretty sure it's not as long as this tournament. And the World Cup this year is happening only in one country. Asia Cup happened in 2 countries. The World Cup is only going to have 2 rounds. Asia Cup has 3 rounds because it has like a league stage, it has a Super Force, and it has final, right? So, I mean,
Asia Cup was 16 days, no? 16 days, and World Cup is 1 month, but 3 rounds.
okay,
Technical answer.
But the best part of the World Cup, of the Asia Cup is not, the rains or India winning or anything. The best part is actually Bangla Twitter. Right now, if you go, Bangla Twitter is ablaze because they have beaten the eventual Asia Cup champions, and therefore they are the true Asia Cup winners.
Undoubtedly.
Of course.
But same thing when India did in 2012, nobody said anything. Like every time India doesn't go to Asia Cup final, they say, but we beat the eventual winner. They're waiting the final to see whether the team India beat in the league stage wins or not.
So I need Tareque to help because I'm only using that Google Translate feature to understand some of these tweets, but they're all wilding because the fact that they have beaten and they have humiliated India, who then went on to scrape through and win the final.
Please unleash them. I shall translate all of them for you.
Hey, Brother T, have you just teleported yourself into the
Yes,
ACC
yes,
headquarters, reporting live from...
the cafe
No,
How
made
did
me
this
teleport.
happen?
Brother T
Okay.
told us he is sitting at Starbucks. Actual answer is he is the star who runs cricket and makes a lot of bucks.
Starbucks. Space important.
Okay, I mean, so couple of things, right? One is I'm very scared of giving even satirical ideas to cricket organizers now, because the gap between satire and what is reality is changing very, very soon, right? I don't know if you remember, long time ago, I think some 20 years ago, Anand Ramchandran had written one blog post saying Rexona to sponsor Underarm World Cup tournament, and then Big Bash promptly 10 years later put Rexona as sponsor under
Yeah.
arms of umpires. So now some genius will say, even World Cup is happening only in one country. Olympics happens in only one city. Why don't we make the World Cup also happen in one city? Lo and behold, 2027 World Cup will be Ahmedabad exclusive. So I think we should refrain from giving more ideas. But
Boss, but
the
this too
outcome...
late. You realize, Tony, it's already too late. This
Oh, no.
podcast first proposed the idea that Ravichandran Ashwin might make it to the World Cup squad
Yeah.
like 3 weeks back. Now see where you are. And I want to up chronology samjhiye na. The last time, so I've mentioned this multiple times on the podcast in the past, but it is a great stat, so I will say it again. In the last 6 years, Ashwin has played 2 ODIs. Okay, he's only played 2 ODIs in the last 6 years. He's not played any for the last 3 years or something. And suddenly now he's going to play the World Cup, which is the weirdest selection call ever made by a major team since Myanmar was picked for the 96 World Cup. When did Ashwin last play ODIs? He played around 2015 and he had a bad time. And the fallout of that was he was dropped from the team. But now he is back in the reckoning. Fallout, reckoning. 2015 Mission Impossible Part 6, fallout. Now Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Ashwin is back. It is all happening. I'm telling you, he's Ethan Hunt, man. Like, it is happening.
I have to add one more thing. I think the last ICC trophy that India won, Ashna was a part of that squad. So he's been added as the lucky mascot. And I'm not talking about the 2011 World Cup. I'm talking about the Champions Trophy.
Oh, that far in the past.
Yeah, that far in the past.
Kohli,
soon
Jadeja,
Pakistan...
Rohit were all there in that squad, right? We already have lots of continuity.
No,
is
but
already there.
Ashwin's
Yeah.
played so long
Like I said,
ago that
Ashna is
Pakistan
the
fans will
only-
say in 92 this happened also.
No.
was
Ashna
part
is
of
the only
Indian
current
team.
test player with an IPL, a World Cup, and a Champions Trophy. Okay, please.
Hey,
You have to
I already
accept it.
disproved
what is
this
a-
point.
He also has repeat IPL, no? So we have to get that repeat column even for World Cup. So, yeah. I mean,
No.
Twitter's
So
going.
if you want to get into the whole 92 thing, right? Like every team that went out of the Asia Cup can be happy, by the way, about the outcomes from the Asia Cup. For instance, the last time India beat Sri Lanka in the Asia Cup was in 2010 in a final. Okay, so last time they beat Sri Lanka in the final was 2010 in Sri Lanka. What happened in the next ICC trophy? India won the ICC trophy. So India obviously very happy with the result. The last time Pakistan hosted the Asia Cup and India played Sri Lanka in the final, and one of the two teams got skittled out, was in 2008 when Ajanta Mendes did that to India. Pakistan went on to win the next ICC event, which was the World T20 in 2009. So Pakistan are very happy with this outcome. Sri Lanka keeps making the finals of the Asia Cup, right? That is their specialty because India and Pakistan don't always make the finals. Sri Lanka keep making the finals. Last time they didn't show up in the final was in 2012 when Pakistan and Bangladesh played the final. Guess who won the next T20 World Cup? It was Sri Lanka. And you will tell me Sri Lanka made the final this time, but did they show up? They did not show up for the final. So there you go. So Sri Lanka also is very happy with this. The last time Bangladesh defeated India in an Asia Cup game was back in 2012, right? When Tendulkar wanted to slow down for his century. And Bangladesh went on to have their best ever World Cup in 2015. So they are also very, very happy with this outcome. So, I mean, everybody's happy because this is the best ever Asia Cup because everyone is happy coming out of it.
Whoa.
What about Afghanistan, dude?
I gave up.
So many.
No history.
No history. No birth
Not enough
certificates.
sample size.
Back then
No-
also
no
they didn't know
birth
how
certificate.
to calculate net run rate. So it is
No
okay.
Then you
birth-
can go
no
to
birth
then you go to
certificate.
last time Nepal played. Sorry, first time we are playing Asia Cup. We don't have history.
Hong Kong.
So the outcome of 2 weeks of everyone playing ODI cricket and Pakistan not making the finals is that Pakistan is currently, as of today, the number one ranked ODI side in the world. Anyone who understands this can explain how this is going to be.
So at one stage
mean-
in my life, right, I was working in digital marketing, and they used to we used to do like, I had a team that used to focus on SEO, so try and get the websites that we're working for to rank well. They would do some shit. They would write some junk, put some meta text to this or that, and the ranks will all come well. Suddenly one day the rank will get completely fat, and you'll go somewhere down. You ask the team what happened, they'll say Google Dance is happening. Google Dance means that algorithm is. They call it a Google Dance. The SEO algorithm has changed. Nobody knows what it is. Now we'll have to slowly figure out what the changes were made, because Google famously would not let people know what changes they make to SEO algo, so that they keep it, properly ungameable. Basically, ICC ranking dance happened, just like Google Dance, and Pakistan is suddenly on top. Nobody can explain this.
But Vaishnavi, you had something you wanted to say. No, okay.
No.
But what is the point of this ranking? Like, for what hair is this ranking of any use? Like, if at least the WTC, fine. You're saying the top 2 teams are playing this so-called final. Fine. For however stupid it is, at least there is something, right? There is one man sitting in Bombay called Tony Sebastian who religiously keeps refreshing the WTC table. Okay, uske liye ek bana diya. I want to know who is the Tony counterpart in which part of the world who is furiously refreshing the ODI World Cup ODI rankings. I really want to know this.
Till a year ago, it was Nitin Sundar who wanted to know if this tournament was part of the Super League or not. But they've abolished the Super League now. But speaking of all of these things, guys, I have an important question to ask. Do you know who's the title sponsor of this Asia Cup? If you know, don't answer. If you don't know, give the other. I mean, if you don't know,
I noticed it, but I forgot. It's not DP.
Exactly. No, it is not DP.
It was
It
last
is.
time. Yeah.
It wasn't. So it was Super 11.
Super 11, yeah.
Super 11.
So
Wait,
Super
what is Super
11?
11?
Nitin
What is
nodding
that?
his head like he knows what Super 11
What is that? I'm asking. I don't know. I know Super
It's the
4
winners of
Smata.
the Super League.
Oh.
No, I think it's something like Dream 11, which
Dream
happens only in
Fantasy.
yeah, it is
Skill-based gaming.
so-called skill-based gaming.
I think they should just stop this and just make Rajbet the sponsor for all of this.
Yeah, I think they're competitors to Rajbet, dude. I just going through Super 11's website. Super 11 official title sponsor of the Asia Cup. Super 11 Aap Bhi Khele Asia Cup. Download app, and then it says app screenshots. Okay, wait. I just got to share my screen. They have probably website is a work of art.
Fart or
Aap bhi khele. Look at the spelling. Khele Asia Cup.
Nice.
No, that's the Pakistani spelling.
Pakistani.
This is the
Yeah.
This is the Pakistan.
Urdu.
Yeah. This
Oh,
is
because
yeah,
it's
sir.
the host country, right?
Oh,
they gave
host
them
country.
the
Oh.
host country.
Oh, like that. Okay.
That is how we have to figure out they're the host country now.
Airline.
Aap bhi khele Asia Cup. And
Ningalum Kelingal.
yeah, it just it just.
No,
it
I
just
think
features
this is the
available.
most
Yeah.
most airtime Super 11 has got across the Asia Cup. So that is
Sir, Super 11, our ticket size is smaller. You please sponsor
Super
this
11, please
podcast.
sponsor BNP.
We'll host it in the country you want only. We will not
Sir,
change
we
it.
will.
We have,
Sir, we will
five,
find-
we have
last
5
time-
larke and ek larkiya. LARKAIN. We can also change our spelling.
on
हमें-
episode 88.
Ladies,
हमें
ladies,
हमें
sir.
जज्बा आता है हेचे भाई जज्बा आता है जुनून आता है हम गालिब बोलते हैं हम क्रिकेट खेलते
HAY
हैं
needs HY. The A is not does not even feature there. It's just HY only.
Yeah, on episode 88, we gave you the exclusive that Arun Dumal had to rush back from the Pakistan box and suddenly paint an India flag on his face. On episode 89, we are revealing to you who the title sponsors of the Asia Cup actually was. But sticking with Pakistan, right? Pakistan performed like Pakistan in a manner which has infuriated all the players, and also Wasim Akram, who has hit the gym as a result of Pakistan's performance.
वो अभी भी 19 साल के हैं
For what?
Anyone wants to
Comeback?
explain this reaction?
This is the Lahorian Wasim bhai coming out. No, this is very much a Lahore reaction, I would say.
Yeah. This is if you remember in Sultan, there is that chapter, right, wherein he describes how he doesn't step out into his street now because he will be mobbed and all of that. And then whenever he gets mobbed, there is a certain set of words that he uses. This is basically that reaction only. I can exactly picture a similar scenario where he's probably stepped into the gym. People have thrown some taunt or some tana, and then it's come and he's put it in Instagram. Only reaction.
Yeah. No, Wasim Akram had to step into the gym to find a punching bag, but Babar Azam didn't have any such need because he had a full dressing room full of punching bags. Apparently, it came to a stage where Babar Azam was criticizing all the players, and Shaheen Shah Afridi stepped up and said, "At least say who batted and bowled well." And Babar Azam basically told him, "I know who batted and bowled well. You shut up and sit there." So all is well in the Pakistan dressing room as we speak. Meanwhile, everyone in the Indian dressing room is dancing and doing Thali runs and hugging each other.
Just a reminder that during the T20 World Cup, the dressing room footage of Babar was saying that nobody's going to be pointing fingers.
I was about to refer that.
Especially you, Nawaz.
Especially you, Nawaz.
Okay,
Shaheen who performed well, Babar Azam. I will not give answer, especially it is not this fellow Nawaz.
So let's quickly round up the three teams in the Asia Cup and their prospective chances in the World Cup based on their performance and the injuries that we've seen, right? So I think Pakistan has faced pretty bad blow because I think Naseem Shah is out. And for Sri Lanka, Tikshana is out, but also they didn't have most of their major bowling lineup. So all of them, including Manindu, Hasaranga, Fred of the pod, should be back for the World Cup. And for India, Shreyas Iyer is still being marked as passive. So
he's not back.
He's not back.
Is this? I'm genuinely starting to believe at this point this Shreyas Iyer back spasm is just like some episode out of House, wherein his back spasm is imaginary and he needs like a house character to tell him that nahi, tu sab theek hai, tu wapas dance kar, reel bana, or something like that.
Are you sure it's not lupus?
Top tier reference.
Let us not forget.
Like? Have we learned anything from the Asia Cup?
So what at least has come out is that Cricinfo now has an injury tracker. And they have started an injury tracker page. And that
important.
That on your phone, if you read on your phone, it scrolls for 3 swipes. So it starts out with Tim Southee, because again, this cricket also happening in other parts of the world, right? So Tim Southee is injured, Akshar Patel is injured, Varindu, Chamira, all these guys pre-Asia Cup are injured. And then now you have our man Shreyas, you have Tikshana. There is also someone injured on the Australia side.
Travis Head,
and I think another
Naseem.
Also.
Naseem is in. I think even Shaheen is marked as injured because he didn't come out to bat. Remember against
Shaheen's injury is just a heartbreak. That's okay. Doesn't count.
So, but yeah, the number of injuries is crazy coming.
But does it also tell you when they're likely to come back?
It says most of them are likely to come back, except for Naseem.
Okay. Yeah, Naseem looks like I think he's completely out of the
head is also out.
Head also probably gone. Yes.
Very key blows. Yeah.
Isn't Jason Roy also some injury related thing, or is it like form related stuff?
He is injury related, but he should be back, is what they're saying.
Roy is out. Brook is in.
Brook is in for Roy.
Is it confirmed? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Max is refreshing Cricinfo to check.
Max missed Asia Cup final, missed the injury, telling Asia Cup is boring. Dang.
Okay, speaking of injury and back.
But Tony, one thing that I learned from the Asia Cup is poor Sri Lanka needs a lot of support for groundsmen. Take this moment to really call out Siraj giving his prize money to the Sri Lankan groundsman, and Jesha very opportunistically having a check printout which said pay to Sri Lanka groundsman. That part, ground stuff, that was cheesy, but it's a very big-hearted gesture from Mia. And it was really Herculean task for them to get these grounds ready, despite what has been happening, right? Like, I mean, there was that sleeper class train fan level thing that was brought onto the pitch and all of that in the era of super hoppers.
So yes, era of super stoppers. Since you mention it, I actually asked somebody at the ground about this, and what they mentioned is that Mr. Godfrey, who's the curator, apparently has some principles he works with, and whatever those principles are, he does not believe or want to use super stoppers. I'm not really sure what the reasoning is, but apparently it's not like they can't afford super stoppers, but it's some mystical connection here that they want to do it only with people and
Did
this
you-
ground stuff.
Did you say his name is Godse?
Godfrey.
Oh, okay.
Godfrey.
Tony is
Tony, he will
It's
get us
Godse
all
and
there.
questionable
Solra.
principles.
Gets us all there.
Arunava Solra, Arunachalam Sera.
It's full Saket Ram
Okay.
from
No-
Hera.
no
Today.
super
So,
Tony.
so at least two people mentioned it, that it's kind of his, and he's very particular about these things. He's, I think, all the international venues in Sri Lanka, he's the chief curator, and this is like a missive from him that it has to be sort of done with the people. So that was fascinating for me, at least. It's a pity that I have to leave the next day, so I could not dig a little deeper into this.
Yeah.
To dig,
I
then
don't
water
think-
will leak.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
No,
Okay,
but I know
yeah.
why the super stopper is not encouraged, because since we will come to this later, but using a super stopper on outfield can lead to fungal issues. Fungus might grow on the outfield. But also on the evidence of this tournament, it doesn't matter how much rain there is, right? Super stopper looks very nice in camera. Tony Gregg used to go gaga over it and all, and they used to do slow motion of it squeezing out the water outside the field and all. Just put a damn tarpaulin, man. It works. Sri Lanka has it. When will the Indian grounds get that same tarpaulin? No, like that Shanawaz Dhawani was flying up and down, no, from Pakistan. On the way, he could have picked up one and dropped it in India, so that we have it on our grounds. They should actually bring that instead of giving checks to groundsmen and all. Use that money and get some of those damn things, in India also. What's wrong?
or
Clearly
not even
works.
that tarpaulin, that heated covering that England uses for its pitches, right? And then use
That's all
tarpaulin
developed
for-
country, much.
Brumbrella, I think we had referred to.
Correct.
That's a
Anyway.
hovercraft kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
that
Yeah.
slope thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
but speaking of injuries and backs, we should also mention back from injury and some stunning performances for India all around. Let's start with KL Rahul and Jasprit Bumrah. How good have they been? Pretty much. Looking at the Indian top four, I guess everyone except Rohit Sharma has got 100, and a stunning 100 at that, with Shubman Gill scoring against Bangladesh and Kohli and Rahul doing it against Pakistan, and Kuldeep getting a fifer, Siraj getting a fifer, Bumrah bowling really well, swinging it back and forth. No comments, guys. Everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah,
And then Ishkish,
I wanted
Ishkish
to-
and Harpik got 50s in the
Yeah.
Pakistan
More than
game.
80s,
I-
let's say 80s, without
80s,
diminishing
80s.
them. Also,
I just
Rohit
want-
batted really well, though he didn't get 100 like the other top order
against
guys. I think
Pakistan.
very, very promising. And
I
Jadeja
was
bowled
slyly
decent.
putting needle and banana there, saying only Rohit didn't get 100, but okay.
I know you're going for that.
I wanted to mention something specific about the KL knock against Pakistan. I think what he did to the spinners latter half is probably the best takeaway, the most important takeaway. I think today in the post-match interview, he mentioned also that hitting out against the spinners will be critical during the World Cup and in India. So he's kind of working on that aspect. So I think those two things are very heartening takeaways, possibly, if he does stick to that regimen.
Very unintentionally, that jazz music was added to the thing. KL bending spinners.
Full mellifluous
Yeah, but
batting by
I think we've criticized KL so much in the past, right? About not having the confidence and stuff like that. But to come back here as a wicketkeeper, batsman and batter, and also direct someone like Kuldeep Yadav to take wickets, I thought was pretty phenomenal.
It's,
Yeah,
it's like
I'd
it's like
agree.
how Mayur. One
First,
thing
he wants
that-
to agree before you.
go.
No, I would agree. I'm saying that more than KL's batting, it's the keeping which I was very suspect about, because someone coming out of injuries doing 300 squats Luckily, they didn't have to do 300 squats. No game went for 50 overs. But still, keeping wickets straight out of injury was going to be a big deal. And he kept wickets. I think that game, like for 4 overs or something, Ishkish kept wickets. After that, KL continued for the rest of the game. So that was pretty impressive. The batting, this is where we criticize him not for his ODI batting. It's mostly the IPL T20 is where we criticize him because you have 4 players who play exactly the same way. Here, this is made for them, and that top 4 of Rowe, Gill, Virat, and Rahul is just crazy. Like if you get that kind of a, like we were talking about, like a 275 pitch, these guys will boss the shit out of it. They will turn up every single day and put up like 290, 295 on a 270 pitch. But it, unless our guys say, cricket needs to be fun and we need these T20, 330 games, then yeah, you are bending over and asking Jason Roy and Josh Butler to, whip you all around. But otherwise,
Harry
these
Brook and
4 are
Josh
unbeatable.
Butler.
Harry Brook.
Harry Brook and Josh Butler.
अरे उन्हें आने दो पहले, उन्हें आने का खेलता उन्हें.
Have they got visa?
I want to know why was this
उन्हें अपने
provisional?
हैदराबाद में खेला, एक तो भी मैच खेला उन्हें. आया दो बॉल के जा रहा उन्हें.
He's got 1 century, just that 1 century.
That will come against India in the World Cup. Yeah.
That is all one Jayadrat type innings, man. We already have many Jayadrats.
Another Jayadrat.
Hey.
We don't need to talk about the British Jayadrat.
Jayadrat method.
No, but
what do you want to know?
No, the reason for that provisional squad announcement was only for visa application, right? There cannot be any other logical reason for this deadline, first deadline and second deadline, whatever.
Squad.
Yeah, what is that? Provisional visas for everyone.
It's okay.
So Jason Roy can come, by the way. He's allowed because his visa is now processed. So he's not in the team. That's all. Yeah.
Vaishnavi, who impressed you the most from the Indian performances?
I think the way Bumrah came back without seeming to have lost any of his potency was pretty crazy for someone who's been out for almost a year now. That he's been out with a very bad injury. So I thought that was phenomenal the way he came back. So Siraj was amazing.
Short and sweet spell like Siraj.
But I did catch Siraj's bowling, so I thought that was. And Siraj has been good for a while now, right? I mean, he's been India's best ODI bowler for the past year and change. I think in general, I like the look of the squad, and I think like Mayur was saying, if it seems like a great spot for an ODI World Cup or ODI tournament in the conditions. And I also actually want to bring up something that Ashwin said in his latest video about. This is more relevant. This is more relevant to the point that Mayur was making. Is that I mean, in the way that when we make super spinning tracks, every spinner looks great. So I mean, if you're going to make like a really flat track, then everyone's going to hit. Then essentially the difference in let's say technique, talent, etc. fades away. But if you're looking at like a 250 pitch, then this is a great top 4 again. So these guys are great one-day cricketers, right? I mean, and there may be a situation where the other big hitters, and this is I'm sort of paraphrasing Ashwin, may not actually be as successful as India's top 4.
Yeah, that whole concept of building an innings comes in when you have these Premarasa type wickets, right? Because you have to, and Virat and these guys are like champions of that format.
Absolutely.
I will come, I will sit, I will grind, and then I will tell you to ball where I want you to ball, and I will tell you where the ball is going to go. Yeah.
Correct.
Amazing. No, the only concerns for India, it was a fantastic tournament for the squad, right? Everyone did well, I think we mentioned. I think the only 2 concerns that I can think of for the squad now would be Akshar Patel's bowling and Ravindra Jadeja's batting. And they're both
Not married to each other.
Hey, KL Rahul dislikes this.
dislikes.
Yeah, other than that, and both are ideally, potentially starting 11 material, both of them. I don't know if Akshar Patel remains in the starting 11. I think the only other concern is that people are talking about R. Ashwin now. But yeah, other than that, there is no other concern.
It's because basically now number 8 has become the problem spot, right? It's either Shardul or Akshar or Washington Sundar or Ashwin or whoever else it can be.
Yeah.
But I have one big concern, which is what I think PGK also said a few episodes ago about KL Rahul not performing one problem. Him not being in the team upsets the balance. Him being in the team is another issue altogether. This has worked out to plan purely because KL are slotted in well in that fourth position. They have to literally put him in a bubble wrap, take good care of him. Otherwise, I can see this again throwing things in the balance. That's my only thing from
And
this one.
speaking of problems, I think if you look at Pakistan and Sri Lanka, they also have two big problems. For Pakistan, the biggest problem this Asia Cup has been Shadab Khan. Right? He has not been the bowler that they would want him to be. You have Nawaz and Iftikhar, and even I think Agha Salman was also bowling in some of those games. And they seem to be bowling a lot better than me. There's a lot of half trackers and so on. I mean, Shadab's batting is still there. I think in that first game, was it against Nepal or something? I think he was there. He was batting well. But I think they need Shadab the bowler. And Sri Lanka have the opposite problem. Right? They need Dasun the batter to step up. He was pretty much a no-show throughout this Asia Cup as well. So the reason why I'm saying that is because is Jad, Shadab, and Dasun, they're all occupying that very same spot in their respective teams, and they've all been off color in this Asia Cup. So that will be interesting. Oh, and the other one which was very good to see, which I had zero expectations, was Hardik's body was able to bowl more than 4 overs in a game, and at decent pace.
Karke aaya tha.
Yeah, at decent pace, and I think at a pretty stunning economy as well. So even though he wasn't among the wickets like Siraj or Patirana or anyone else, he was coming in and clocking in 145s. That was great. And again, I had no hopes that he would last more than 3 overs, 4 overs. So that was very surprising.
Especially
for
that
me, at least.
Super 4 game against Sri Lanka. I think Hardik spell pretty much.
He had to step up
turned the game actually.
Because Akshar was going for runs on a turner. And India had to go to Hardik, and he showed up and bowled well. So yeah, full marks. Like
Which is why I like that formula, right? You have 3 spin options and 3 fast options, and that's why the whole Shardul thing just does not compute for me in any form of sense, unless you're playing in Dharamsala, which we may not be able to play because of other reasons. We do have a game in Dharamsala, don't we?
Fungus.
Yeah, New Zealand.
Rexona,
supposedly.
Brought to you by Rexona.
It will be promptly moved to Indore.
No, so Samo was saying if KL plays also a problem, doesn't play also a problem. He's very worried that, he needs to be bubble wrapped. If he gets injured, it's bad for the team. Meanwhile, Tony is wincing. He's sitting with voodoo dolls of KL Rahul and he's poking the shit out of them. Hoping that one of those...
I mean, this is a complete fabrication. It's not for KL Rahul. It is for Ishan Kishan, who first of all doesn't belong in the team. Yeah, and I agree with your provisional 15 squad. But Sanju is in the same place that we've spoken of in the last 2 or 3 years, right? It's that Friends episode thing where Joey asks who has to die for me to get the baby, right? So Sanju's position hasn't changed at all. So
it's perfect that you said Joey, because actually it is Chandler who says that, and this is the problem with Sanju. Even when he is actually the protagonist, it is someone else.
It is Joey now. What do you say?
It is Chandler.
Bet.
Okay, fine. Bet.
It's Chandler. Wait, or it's
100
Joey.
rupees bet. It is Joey.
Okay, 100 rupees.
100 rupees.
This is the Bits and Pieces
fact check
podcast.
on the go, like PGK.
This is the Bits and Pieces podcast where we talk about people who are not in the World Cup, hoping for them to be in the World Cup.
Rejects 11 from every team.
Hey, reject kisko bola?
Nitin Sundar, you can Paytm me.
No, man, I'm not able to Google. Oh, you found it. Okay. Well done. Okay. Good joke, ruined. Paytm nahi chalta hai Dubai mein. Useless.
But
foreigners get UPI, dude. You can send from Paytm now.
Guys, but if you're done,
I'm not a foreigner, daddy.
No,
Yeah,
guys,
yes,
if you're
it-
done with Asia Cup, did any of you watch the Sunrisers games?
Done with Asia
that were
Cup.
happening?
Hey, Mohammad Siraj just bowled the best spell ever bowled by an Indian fast bowler. We have not mentioned his name
I have
also.
not seen it. I was sleeping.
And what did you want to talk about? Sunrisers. Huh?
Marco Jansen.
The-
Okay, first
Please.
of all, let's set that up. Mohammad Siraj bowled the spell of his life, only for two people at the ground, Messrs. Mr. Roger Binney and hopefully Miss Mayanti Langer, to get Kohli to throw
Oh.
4 overthrows so that fingers would be ruined. So that Stuart Binney's record shall be etched forever. And also,
So
I think
what
KL Rahul
exactly-
did go for a catch.
What is Stuart Binney's record? Best
6
for.
for
no?
6 for
6
4.
for 4.
6 for 4.
So is that that's the best by an
Has
Indian
any-
bowler ever?
Has any
Is
Indian
it?
in
In an
ODIs,
ODI,
no?
yes. In an ODI,
Oh,
Yes.
okay. No,
Previous
but
was
he
6
would
for
have.
12 Kumble.
Yeah, hey, but Siraj ended up with 6 for 21. No, eventually.
Yeah.
How much
He
did
would
Kohli
have,
overthrow?
he needed 1 wicket more.
They
Four.
making you Nitin Sundar. No, you
No,
are
I
the
thought-
Sundar
I
who's
thought he was
contributed
close.
most to. Yeah, but KL Rahul didn't die for 1 catch, which you said was a tougher
Yeah.
catch or whatever. But anyway, coming
Ah.
back to the thing, Siraj ended up with 6 for 21, which is pretty phenomenal. And,
I think,
Yeah,
I think
so-
so. So I just wanted to point out one quick thing which irritated me quite a bit. That Sanjay Manjrekar kept asking. He asked Siraj also at the end of the game, and during the commentary, he was saying as well that Siraj is bowling too many deliveries in the slot.
Yeah.
So the pitch map came on. The pitch is swinging, right? The conditions
Yeah.
are swinging. Like the slot is no longer the slot. Like I don't know why he did not clarify. Like I was very befuddled by that
This
and
is
bemused and annoyed. He kept
Oh.
saying this is like the slot where you like it out.
this is Sanju Manju doing his thing. No, he did something wherein he said dew falls from the sky or something, and then he put his hand
No, I
on
think-
the outfield some moons ago, right? Same behavior. And then the worst part is after that he went in with Roshan Abhay Singh. He was saying, "Oh, I think you're like
Smoke is coming.
Come
Smoke
out.
is coming from your ears and all of
The
that."
entire audience only smoke is coming.
Hey,
What just-
Needanga Katre, that is why your smoke is coming. You and other side Vaz is there. Poor guy doesn't have even time to mourn Srinaka's bad
Poor
performance.
Abhay
He is
Singh.
sandwiched.
One side
to be
here,
fair, while
no, no.
while you are
one side,
you are
one side here Vaz, one side here Wax.
So Tareque, to be fair, while you are slot shaming Sanjay Manjrekar as it were, I think he did clarify saying the slot makes sense only in T20 cricket. In 1 days, it's not necessarily the slot. So I thought he was nudging in that direction. But anyway,
Vaz
anyway,
ball says hi.
what I wanted to point out was essentially because that was what made Siraj's spell special today. I think because he got the length
length.
absolutely spot on, like throughout. I think barely bowled any deliveries that were like not on the correct length, even when we were sort of varying it a bit. So I think it's just one of those things where the perfect storm came together for him to blow Sri Lanka away, and there was no perfect storm coming in from the Indian Ocean to save them in the meanwhile. So that's
Actually,
what
it was the perfect storm, right? It drizzled for about 10 minutes.
yeah,
20 minutes after the toss.
after the toss, yeah.
At the toss, Sri Lanka and India said they wanted to bat. Rohit Sharma said this is a dry pitch and we wanted to bat first. The pitch was not dry when the match started. It was a perfectly moist and so the way Siraj bowled, right? And rather the way Sri Lanka batted when Siraj bowled. You know, as kids, right, when we do the shadow practice, in your mind, you're always recreating some match and you're like Tendulkar, your boy on the burning deck, and you have Magra bowling from the other end. It's unplayable balls. So you'll first play a few and you'll miss them, right? It'll just swing away, then you look down the pitch at the bowler. I was reminded of those days, the way I would, you know, like exaggerated movements, try very hard to cover the line and not edge the ball. Sri Lanka just kept doing that. And the balls that actually got the wickets were not the best balls that Siraj bowled. They played some fairly silly shots, you know, catch it, cover, catch it, point, etc., etc. But the ones they missed were like unbelievable, unplayable balls. And just when Siraj gets on that kind of role, he's one of the best bowlers in the world. He bowls at that right pace and he can move it on the air and in the air and off the seam as well. Amazing.
So there was this brilliant, I mean, all of them were pretty amazing, but there was this brilliant dismissal of Shanaka, right? Who hasn't put bat on ball for the last, I think, 5 or 6 matches. But because Sri Lanka have been on a 14-match winning streak, they can't drop him. So Siraj, I think, bowled 3 or 4 balls to him, and he couldn't touch it. And Siraj got annoyed. He basically went wide of the crease and practically bowled a fast leg break, right? Like pitched on middle and took the off stump. That was
a great ball.
phenomenal.
Yeah, they showed the pitch map also of his release points, right? That was just brilliant. But here's the thing, right? One very interesting observation that I have to say is the first over, I did not see it on TV. I was on good old Akashvani radio commentary. And through the entire 4 wickets, the commentator kept saying yellow. And even a bit after the whole thing had happened, after the 4 wicket over, and then Dhananjaya had played that boundary, they kept saying that Sri Lanka को वो delivery भी छोड़ देना चाहिए था. हम देख रहे हैं, हम दर्शकों, हम हमारे श्रोताओं को बताना चाहते हैं, which is to tell our listeners that these people attempted to play at these balls, and then that is the only reason why they have gone and got the dismissals. In deliveries में सिर्फ सिराज का effort दिखता है. That is what they said in the radio comments, and it was pretty poignant, right? Like I came back and saw some of the highlights, and it was right. It was just good old swing bowling that was happening. Sri Lanka had to play it like a test match, and it didn't happen. So, but then again, freak of nature.
There you go.
Yeah, but then again, freak of nature. I went back and checked some of that stat also came up, right? Like 4 wickets in a single over, 3 people had done it, right? Vas before this and Malinga's being a hat trick. So was trying to figure out the circumstances. Malinga, I think, had 4 on 4 yards.
Actually, Malinga was not in 1 over. So there are only 3 bowlers have done 4 wickets in 1 over.
Pollock, no?
Malinga has also done it, no?
Sean Pollock for Warwickshire.
No, not Malinga. Okay, so who can give me the other 2 names? Warwickshire, talk about international cricket.
Vas has done it. Vas has done it against Bangladesh.
Vas did it in the opening over.
Opening over.
5 for 4 at the end of the first over. Yeah. Mohammad Sami, not Shami. Mohammad Sami from Pakistan has done it, and Adil Rashid has done it.
Didn't Malinga do it like that game when they needed 5 from 5 and it's 2 overs?
Over 2 overs, yeah.
I think, but in that 1
he
over,
did it over 2
was
overs.
a run out or something, right? So it might have
Which
got
1 over?
Something.
Malinga.
No, Malinga got 4 in 4 balls, but it was across 2 overs. There was no run out and all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was one.
Let me fact check that also. This also might be wrong.
Hey, you
See,
have to
this
get
is the
step marks
only
for my
podcast
Sean
where
Pollock
I'll
answer.
fact check.
But this I read on Cricinfo, and Malinga's name was not there, so I'm
like
assuming that he did not.
Too good.
Hey, South
These are the
Africa,
names.
dude, 2007.
They are
Yeah,
maligning
everybody
Malinga.
knows which match, right?
No, I'm trying to.
F4W.
I'm trying to.
F4W.
So Malinga finished with 9.2 overs, 4 for 54. So he got a wicket and then the winning run was scored, right? So the earlier wickets came in the previous over, I'm guessing.
Correct. Good.
Yeah.
See what
44.6,
happens when
46.2.
India wins. We end up with a boring podcast. Everyone's like, okay, India won. What is that?
What boring?
Yeah,
I'm enjoying
it's
myself.
okay.
Bored.
No, I meant like there is absolutely no what do you call it?
There's
Punch,
no angst.
counter punch. There is no angst. There is nothing. It is just a vanilla feeling of okay, man. Like whatever. Like
Is this one of your
2 weeks
munchies,
ago?
Tony?
2-3 weeks ago, we were all like burning hearts because India lost some, random series in West Indies and like burning everything down, including Jamisar, that, this, and the other. Now everyone's like, yeah, it's okay. Predestined semi-finalist. Uske baad dekhenge. Like, should we even play the round robin at this
Well,
rate?
some people still
We
think
should
India
not.
will
People
make
get
the
injured.
Semis.
Sorry, Max. What do you say?
No, some people are still hoping India doesn't make the semis, right?
Who
Pod
are these
founder
people?
and Australian biker. Could be named, could not be named. I don't know.
3 a.m. call incoming.
No.
For you.
It's a fair thing to wish for if you're not very happy with the way BCCI is running Indian cricket.
Vote with your feet.
Vote with your
No,
feet.
but the thing is, it is just you have 4 important games. I mean, really big games, and those 4
will
games
make it.
are where you have doctored the situation. So,
Including fungus on the ground.
By the way, this doctoring generally backfires. If you look at the test matches India have lost against Australia in recent years, they've been on over-doctored pitches. So, if anything, I'm a little worried about Lucknow pitch, for instance, completely untested, some rubbish getting used against England. Adil Rashid will come and roll out India. India doesn't have a respecter to screw them over. They do have Kuldeep now, but Adil Rashid is Adil Rashid.
One quick thing. If you are thinking that we will roll over Australia in Chepak, no. Last time Zampa gave one royal kundi. Everyone was getting caught out in like either deep mid wicket or like
Correct.
deep point or something. It was like proper kundi, very well on track to chase the score, but then suddenly brain fade or actually Zampa found his length and the singles right.
Which
All
match
this
was
dom-
this? You might
This was
like
India-Australia, I think, that
ChatGPT and make up this whole thing.
bilateral.
Yeah, they had a
four-match
time pass
over.
bilateral.
Last
Which
year,
one?
last year.
The last one
Last
before this
year-
one.
पेटीएम का कुछ खेला था ना लास्ट ईयर कुछ 4 ODI
पेटीएम का ही 4 होगा भाई. हर साल
No,
खेलता है
did,
तो.
did they
How
have,
does
yeah,
it
I think they
matter?
had one in Kerala also.
Yeah, I
I
think
just
they had one
I
in Kerala.
since this is a very factually accurate podcast, I want to make sure these things happened. That's all.
Hey,
No,
they
It did happen. The month
there
I
was a
remember.
series
I
against
remember because
Australia.
more
Ah,
importantly, there was
fair
one match in Kerala, whether it was Trivandrum or Kochi. I'm not sure.
Trivandrum, but that was Sri Lanka.
No, nobody showed up. Then there was not enough people who showed up or something like that, and so they got a lot of flack.
Correct. Yeah.
Trivandrum.
So all of this has happened at some
Why
point.
did they not show up? Sanju was not picked, is it?
No, something to do with ticket pricing, something and all went wrong and
But
something. Anyway,
but
doesn't
by
matter.
the way, some Malayalam news channel actually ran that as a story, which was again debunked. The fact that Sanju wasn't picked, and they had announced the teams a day before. There was that story, but then it was debunked.
I'm sure they did. Okay, but speaking of Joey and Sampa and all of that, Max, throwing it to you for Zampa's 0 for 113 or whatever, and apparently Sunrisers are rising in
yes.
South Africa or something.
Yes, if you're done with the stupid Asia Cup, the Sunrisers have been playing some fantastic cricket right now. And I say Sunrisers and not Sunrisers Hyderabad because I'm including the entire Sunrisers family. Temba Bavuma, who plays for Sunrisers Eastern Cape, in the first game made 90. And then that was followed by Klassen. That was followed by Markram, who scored a century. Then Klassen showed up with that bludgeoning 178. And then today again, Markram showed up as well as Janssen. So Sunrisers have been all over Australia like a rash. And Zampa, that Samo was giving so much hype for, scored his first ODI century.
ODI century. I saw.
Jampa.
Jampa. No,
But
this is
Australia
also
sends some random team, no? It's
It's been a very interesting
Opening
team.
bowler Marcus Stoinis.
But by the way, I will attribute this to the fact that what Rajnikant said in Jailer audio launch. He said that he's very he's just very sad seeing Kavya Maran sad in all those games.
Oh.
So by hukum, so Sunrisers players have started performing.
I thought he actually gave strategy out. You bowl shot on hukum, ni catch pudi That's how they all got it.
But one of the things from an Australian side was Dave Warner got a few runs. So I think he scored a century in one game and I think another 70 or something in another game. And then
concussion substitute.
Labuschagne came as a concussion sub, like 7 down, and he scored 80 in the winning first game. And then the next game he followed up with 120 or something. So those are 2 games they won. After which both Warner and Labuschagne kind of checked out.
Labuschagne did well today also, no? Like even in the 5th ODI, he was batting.
He scored like 40 or something. He was the highest
unbeaten.
scorer,
Yeah.
No, unbeaten. He was out. He was the highest scorer in the last game.
No, Mitch Marsh was. I think Mitch Marsh 71. Labuschagne was 44.
Yeah,
So
correct. Both of them scored. No, but Labuschagne, much like Harry Brook and our man Ravi Ashwin, who's trying to jump the gun, will probably make it into the World Cup squad at the last minute before the second and final deadline. But I mentioned earlier how all the Asian teams are happy.
Oh, when is the second deadline?
Whenever it is. Who knows? You tell me. It has not yet come or it's coming imminent.
The circular will be sent out from the BCCI office.
The deadline also is not sacrosanct. No, if someone gets injured, you can replace someone else. Like how we brought Washington Sundar in for Akshar Patel out of nowhere.
But
basically there is BCCI has no locus standi because the venues are not yet frozen. There is fungus in some grounds and all that. So you can do whatever you want. The entire World Cup is Kumbaya only. But I mentioned earlier how all the Asian teams are happy with the outcome of the Asia Cup, right? Similarly, South Africa are very happy. They won, pretty convincingly against Australia. Australia also will be very happy because you remember how they went into their most dominant World Cup in 2007. They lost 3-0 in New Zealand and they had rested some of their key players. Very similar. They've lost now 3 games on the trot to a very unfancied South Africa. Now they're going to go and smash every team in the World Cup. Everybody's happy, boss.
Okay,
Hum saath
but
saath hai World Cup.
when you mentioned this whole cricket World Cup is a kumbaya, Max, can you tell us what you said about the cricket World Cup being like an Indian wedding? Do you want me to send it to you so you can read it out? Wait, hold on.
That's a good one. Yeah, please put effect and read.
I've just sent it to you. Your own message back to
My
you.
own message that I have no
Yeah.
recollection of.
Hey, this is epic.
Amar.
By
This
the
is
way,
Amar.
after 4 beers and some nice green
No,
stuff,
no, I know.
I'm
I'm saying I know.
Yeah.
I have no recollection of
Yeah,
because I
this is-
typed that after severe consumption of spurious liquids. And
Correct.
I said,
So the last
Old monk, basically.
last time that happened was in the Amer Nagbi pod because Srinath read out something to Amer which he had written and Amer heard the entire thing and said, "Oh, I have written this."
Very nice. Who wrote?
Max, read now. Oh, you want me to read it?
no, Tony has done the hard work, so I have to read this out. Okay, so yes, please leave what? This was after consuming insane amounts of spurious liquids. So this is what I said. The Cricket World Cup.
You started with like girlfriend in theater and all. I think this is like a much saner version only. It's okay. We're a bit forewarned.
The Cricket World Cup is like an Indian wedding. You are not sure if the groom will show up or walk away unimpressed by dowry. Some uncles can lose a card game and call off the thing. The caterers can screw up and the entire wedding party has food poisoning. The thali can go missing. The tent house guy will threaten until his payment is made in full and final. And more importantly, the bride could also elope overnight. Yet, despite all these uncertainties, the wedding somehow takes place and everyone goes home unsure if they were happy or not. Yet, shamelessly, we all show up and willingly sign up for this madness when the next distant cousin sends us an invite again. And that is what I think this World Cup is. We have no idea if there are going to be grounds. We don't know if the police are going to give bandobast. We have no idea if there's going to be fungus on the grounds. We have no idea when Kali Puja is. We don't know if Pakistan will show up. We don't know if R. Ashwin is going to play. We don't know any of these parameters, but somehow the match will happen. And then Rajiv Shukla or the Prime Minister will hand over the trophy to the winning captain. That for sure is uncertainty. Is a certainty.
He's the tomato in the puree.
But Nitin, we've mentioned fungus about 17 times without actually saying what the whole thing is. As our Dharamsala correspondent and expert, why don't you tell our listeners what the backstory to this is?
So as
including the elections that have been going on in Himachal Pradesh, apparently, which you've been keeping track of.
No, I think everybody knows the old stories. About 35, 40 episodes back, we spoke about how a bunch of us were trying to go to the Dharamsala test match, which then got moved to Indore. Later, it seems like it's not just me. My family is jinxed when it comes to Dharamsala because my wife was supposed to go to Dharamsala for a retreat and then had to cancel because of the insane flood situation. And she instead of scenic Dharamsala ended up going to not so scenic Meerut for substitute retreat. I mean, it was a Vipassana retreat, so it didn't really matter where the venue was. At least that's what she's telling herself. So now we are coming to the World Cup, where there are two important games in October. New Zealand versus India and New Zealand versus Australia. That was supposed to happen in Dharamshala 5 days apart. Andy Atkinson was a popular name in ICC circles. He's the ICC's pitch guy. He's come and observed the ground.
Wait, did you say God say? Oh, no.
So Andy Atkinson has come and looked at the outfield, the Dharamshala outfield, which earlier was not ready for the test match against Australia. This time it seems to be overcooked because he's complained that there is fungus growing on the outfield, which is not becoming of an international cricket venue. The ICC and the BCCI are yet to announce where this match will happen eventually. But tickets have been sold for these games that are supposed to happen in Dharamshala. So that's the latest. Last time there were no tickets. This time there are tickets. Like KL Rahul, don't know what is better, having tickets or not having tickets.
Nitin, just to clarify, tickets are not sold. Tickets are sold out.
Sold out.
There you go.
Whatever was there was sold out. People better book tickets to Indore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not
So,
the definition of a
Are we
sellout
putting money
venue,
on
but
how
anyway.
many of these games will have empty stands? Are we taking bets on that?
Boss,
Every
that
game
for
is
that
sold
why
out.
not?
Every game is
No,
sold
no,
out. You wait for
there will
90
be a
minutes.
full
Super
stand
level
in
bits and
Dharamsala.
pieces.
There'll be a full stand at Dharamsala, but the outfield will be fungus infected and players won't be there because
No,
they will all
not
be
just
playing.
Dharamsala. I'm saying like across the World Cup, if you have to think how many of these grounds are going to have empty stands. Because like,
Yeah.
if
I
you
mean,
ask
like-
Sporty Baba, every game is sold out apparently.
No,
Not
so
Sporty
like
Baba,
an
go
idiot,
check out
I
Book My
stood in
Show.
queue for the Mumbai semi-final, right?
Same.
Vipul pinged me saying, bro, why are you doing this? They're only selling 450 tickets. I'm like, what? I stood in queue for a good 75 minutes till they told me it was sold out. So yeah, I mean, it is likely that either
Please explain to me
organizers...
why is it taking 75 minutes to sell 450 tickets?
So,
That is
so
like 3
here's the
wickets.
thing,
What is-
Nitin, I was there in the queue. Okay,
Because there is a
I-
guy, Macha. There is a guy sitting behind the computer. Every time he sees your name, he will write it on a paper, tear the check challan, and put it in that pokey thing. It will go into that.
fax it to the
So they'll tear
stadium
the
itself.
foil and keep putting it into that pokey thing. Once that pokey thing is tall enough, they're like, okay, stop the
That's a
counter.
ticket. Oh.
No, but here's the thing. No, yesterday, I think, like Tony, even I was like, okay, fine. Semis tickets are out. Bombay, chill maar ke aa sakte hai. I stood in the queue. Okay, 90 minutes. I think I would have gone past 90 minutes. The screen kept refreshing. Still not fixed a timer. Okay, I don't know what Book My Show is doing. Who's the product manager? Whatever. The screen keeps refreshing. Suddenly, I think around the 2 hour mark, because I had still the tab open, for a grand total of 15 seconds, the screen opened up and said, all tickets are sold out. It stayed there, and then suddenly it redirected me to Book My Show homepage. And here's the kicker.
Jawan ticket book kar do abhi.
Continue booking your tickets to Jawan at ICE Forum, Bangalore. It showed.
I said that as a joke. I had no idea.
It happened to me.
This was the choppy tweet, right? Till August 2023, book my show. After August 2023, book your own show. So you can't do anything.
No.
Okay,
Meanwhile,
I think-
Tareque Laskar dropped out of the queue and then came back with renewed josh because 400,000
So,
extra tickets have been announced.
Yeah.
No. This World Cup
Vaishnavi,
is, by the way,
yeah.
brought to you by Neosporin antifungal cream. Just so you know.
I was about to say that we should pitch like to Ringard or somebody to sponsor.
Daad
Yeah,
khaj
but
kujli.
30
New
and circle
Zealander
brought to you by
anyway.
Ring Guard.
New Zealander anyway, fungi is fun guys, no? Okay.
You. Needle in banana only.
Oh, black fungus sponge के अभी black cap से. Okay.
वो needle in avocado डालने वाला है. Exotic fruit, no? Kiwi. Needle in
Kiwi, dad.
black.
Kiwi. Avocado is Mexico, dad. New Zealand is kiwi. It's called kiwi.
But there was this brilliant reel that Srinath Sripath sent me. So obviously, all blacks and black caps. Do you know what the New Zealand basketball team is called?
Tall ferns.
Oh, the tall
Oh,
blacks.
the women are called. Oh, yeah, okay, tall
Correct,
black.
yeah. Tall blacks. But there was a brief
Tall.
period where they had a badminton team which was called
Shuttlecocks.
Hey,
Rock blacks.
all blacks, tall blacks, black
Cock blacks.
caps. What is
Cock-
the
cock
shuttle-
Black
Blacks.
Cocks. Oh,
Complex.
really?
Yeah, and they're like that
Oh my
is
God.
just the junior team. The senior team is called BBCs apparently. So anyway,
Are you making this up? I really don't know right now.
Hey.
no, it's a New Zealand TV show. I can't help it. Or American, whatever. Anyway, but they made the news. So, yeah.
So it's real.
Fact
It'll
check
be,
It's
this.
really
it will be there in the pod notes.
We need to fact check
Yeah, we
this.
can link to show notes and all. Anyway, yeah. So Vaishnavi, did you have anything that you wanted to cover? Speak about women's cricket, something, anything?
I don't think there's been anything this week. I think a lot of it happened last week.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think long story short, both Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Pakistan beat more fancied opponents. Bangladesh whitewashed South Africa. Pakistan whitewashed South Africa at home. Sri Lanka won against England in England 2-1. These both T20 series, but then they moved on to the ODIs, and I think status quo prevailed.
I think also, ODIs. South Africa won the first two. Pakistan won the last one, though. They're pretty convincing.
Correct.
And,
I mean, I think that those are hearty signs, at least for the women's game. So much of at least ups and downs in the table. Earlier this year, Bangladesh tied or drew a series with India. So yeah, I mean, I think those are good signs.
Cool.
I would like to report that my Google search history has been tarnished and sullied. Now I will have to do a lot of Shudra Pujas and all to get this back to where it was. Thanks to Tony, I went down.
One second. I did the same search without sullying my search, but see, it is true. In an
Yes, I finally landed there.
Oh,
but
you
that was
did
not the first.
incognito.
No,
It was not the first.
I just searched for New
that came
Zealand badminton team, and then obviously the internet rewarded me.
I started from the
बैडमिंटन का
abbreviation.
कॉक का ग्रिप निकाल के
अरे कॉक में ग्रिप नहीं होता है यार, शटल होता है.
My God. Anyway, but I did sully my search history for Nitin Sundar's intro by searching for foot fucking master, which is a quote from Pulp Fiction, but that's not where Google search first led me.
But it's also very correct, right? Like, I mean, I think
What is very correct?
Everything is correct, right?
NCR produces the highest number of, I think, badminton shuttlecocks or something, and then one team deciding to name itself Blackhawks is very honorable to Meerut.
Okay.
NCR
To
being
Meerut?
NCR. No, Blackhawks is honorable to NCR as in.
Quits.
मेरा बड़ा है, तेरा बड़ा है, मेरा बड़ा है. That one.
Okay. I believe you. Sure.
Yeah. What else? So England, New Zealand apparently were playing.
Oh,
Has anyone watched?
David
Anyone been following?
Balance.
Apparently, Nitin Sundar has been following
My
this very
father's
closely at the
firstborn.
start of Asia Cup.
My father's firstborn had a crazy inning.
Who's that?
And beat the shit out of New Zealand. That was pretty awesome.
My father's firstborn.
Yeah, I woke up to the number of missed calls and messages and all. It was crazy.
So wait, in your family, who is supporting New Zealand and who doesn't support New Zealand?
No, whoever is the current England best player is always the firstborn son in my house. Okay. Me and my brother are number 2 and number 3. So it used to be Freddie Flintoff, then it became Kevin Peterson, and now it is
Venkatake.
Mr. Stokes. So, he's back from the grave. Class is permanent. You can never put something down. And the amount of messages were like in capitals. And yes, I knew something was happening. I had to switch on the TV, and then I saw what was happening. Because those games start at like what, 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock or something my time. So by the time I wake up, the half innings is almost done. And I saw what was getting unleashed, and I knew why my phone is blowing up with all those messages. But thank God he was gone. But even then, they're still calling it the best number 4 innings after Viv Richards or some nonsense like that.
Wait. What position did Heinrich Klaassen bat in that match?
What?
He's talking about England,
What?
New Zealand now.
England, New Zealand, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, the other one. Oh, he's saying the best number 4 innings.
5 or 6.
ஏன்டா இப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
Wait.
Okay.
5 or 6.
Nitin Sundar in ultimate fact checker mode today. Okay.
He's 5. No, just it would be nice only to put. Unfortunately, he batted at number 5.
So what is the England New Zealand series outcome? It's a
3-1 to
series.
England.
It's a 4-match series.
I think so. Do they want
3-1 to England.
Enough,
but,
no? They can go.
What is the moral victory count?
Moral victory count.
That's only against Australia.
T20 series was shared 2-2, by the way.
They played T20 in between this. For what?
Before this,
Yeah,
yeah.
even Australia, right? Australia beat South Africa 3-0 in the
3-0
T20 series.
and then took a 2-0 lead in the one days before.
Yeah, so they
century.
won 5 matches on the trot and then lost the remaining 3. England, New Zealand, so they played the T20s, but that was more of
The
a
series is
it was
over.
complete a drubbing.
Oh, there was some crazy stat, no? Apparently, this was Australia's first ODI win in South Africa in the last since 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, last
12
decade
matches,
or
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jasprit Bumrah took a wicket in the first over today. How many times has he taken a wicket in the first over in one-day internationals?
Looks like a trick question. Has he never done it before this?
Yeah, he's
Oh.
never done it before this.
Nice
A
catch.
stat,
Double
I
glove.
think that'll change with the World Cup for sure. So in the lead up to the World Cup, apparently India is playing Australia now 3 times, and then there is a warm-up match against England and one against Netherlands. What
Excellent.
are your hopes, dreams, and aspirations for
The
these
warm-up
5
games.
warm-ups before the 9 round robin warm-ups before we get to play the semi-finals?
Hey, warm-ups you can play.
Same
Maybe 15
Time
players.
stamping this. Mohan K will be in the episode when India misses semi-finals.
I'm
against
just saying, how many runs does Shubman Gill have for the year? He can basically score like 3,000 runs this year.
He can
For that, he has
definitely
to
get to
score.
2000.
Yeah, he's got 14 matches coming up. I mean, anyway, like even if we don't make the semi-finals,
Where is he
So
at
that-
right now?
it's a good. Why don't you
He's
do the
at
fact checking?
1700 plus, I guess. I think.
Oh, really?
close
Oh,
to-
although the double hundred was all this year. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
starting of
So,
the
yeah,
season.
all of that has
So-
added up.
In international hundreds this year, Shubman Gill is at 6 and Virat Kohli is at 5, and I think they are the top 2
Oh,
according to Crazy Jones. According to as
Nice.
reported by Crick Tracker or something. I don't know.
must be real.
As we.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's
Shubman Gill
amazing, yeah.
3,000 runs. You heard it here first.
Boss, just think about in the last, 4 days or 5 days, you had Ben Stokes play that innings and you had Heinrich Klaassen play that innings, right? Which are both potentially best of the decade kind of knocks, right?
Yeah.
That's what this World Cup is going
Until
to be.
next week.
Until next week. Next week, somebody will score even more crazily. I don't know what to say. But I hope the pitches are more like Sri Lanka, more like the Asia Cup, and not like what you've seen in South Africa and in England. Then you'll have a better World Cup, and hopefully Gill won't reach 3,000 runs, but you'll have far better cricket.
So basically, you're saying it won't be a road. That's all.
Yeah,
I hope so
But
too.
you did have roads
No, I
in
mean-
2011. No? That was the thing, right? Bangalore was a pretty big
did.
road.
But
Lot-
it was one ball, right? Back then, the game has changed a lot since 2011, one-day format. But yeah, the pitches can still make a big difference. I hope there isn't dew during the World Cup because that completely throws a spanner in the works. Yeah, really, the Sri Lankan conditions are perfect, man. Like we need more of that for one day cricket.
I have one sensational fear. I mean, of visibility, specifically given that you're gonna have
Go
this
to an
world-
optometrist. Huh?
Not me, Ray. Hey, listen, no. No,
Send
the
that
fact
person to optometrist.
I'll send that person. But given that
Ganguly.
we're gonna have this in the middle of Diwali, I'm just no. This is gonna cause some adverse conditions, some adverse playing conditions somewhere.
Oh,
right? That the whole
crackers
form
and all.
thing. Yeah, the whole
Kohli will
cracker-
put video. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Diwali
it'll
is
be
just
like that
day,
one.
man. Diwali is just one day, and that is it's the break between the league stage and the thing that has been planned. The
But
Kali
bandobast
Puja,
milega.
those things they did not know.
Bandobast nahi milega.
Bandobast.
In Chennai houses, every day is Kartika, you know.
No, but if you actually think,
Abba.
only India and Pakistan have been
Date.
playing with like almost their first choice 11, at least with close to their first choice 11.
Yeah.
All the other teams who have been playing ODI cricket right now have been playing, are not playing
Fuck
the
around and find
first
out.
11s. So when you look
Fucker
at
Zaman and
England, I
find
think they have some guy they have Gus Atkinson, Reece Topley, who are opening the bowling for
Hey,
them.
that is the name of a blade, right? Like what Wilkinson and earlier telling.
And then
Gus
New
Atkinson,
Zealand
same
is-
as your
Andy
same as your
Atkins.
Dharamsala.
Atkins. Undercover
Are they
curator.
related?
Fungus
Are-
among us.
Are they related?
Fungus Fraser. English medium.
Hey,
So
but
we'll have
why
to
are you
see
saying
what's happening.
Reece Topley with so much disdain? Like Reece
No, I'm saying he's
Topley-
not your first 11. Reece Topley, Gus Atkinson are not your first 11.
Why?
Similarly, Rachin Ravindra is not your first 11. I'm
Hey, his
pretty
entire
sure that we
family
haven't-
has unveiled him for the World Cup. What are you
Please.
saying?
I take offense on behalf of Vaishnavi. Rachin Ravindra is the next Dunit Velalage.
Rachin Ravindra is actually Ravichandran and Ravindra together, man. He's the Indran Chandran guy, actually, if you think about it.
Oh
By
man,
the way-
yeah. So he's
by the way,
Rahul
I
Dravid,
wanted to-
Sachin Tendulkar, Ravindra Jadeja, and Ravindran Ashwin. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Much
everything.
information.
By the way, thanks for mentioning Dunit Velalage. We have spent 1.5 hours talking about the Asia Cup, and we spoke about SEO dancing, Google dancing. We did not mention most important SEO word of this
Yeah.
Asia Cup, which is Velalage.
We well lagged this topic. Come. Say, what do you have to say about
Nothing. Now
Dunit
we mentioned
Velalage?
that.
He's only 20.
This podcast also covers top players like Dunit Velalage. That is SEO optimization. done.
SEO optimization done.
No, Dunit Velalage is the next Mumbai Indians pick come December.
They don't pick
It's
Sri Lankan
written.
spinners. There is only one team that picks Sri Lankan spinners.
No. They pick anyone who scores against India. Ask Cam Green, ask Richard Levy, ask Mitch McClenaghan. Any person who has a good game against India. is
Ajanta
picked.
Mendes never played.
Ashton Agar says hi to your theory. The flop. So Ashton Agar, Ashton Turner also, by the way.
Oh, answer is
Scores
not
plays against India, by the way.
Macha, they got Luke Ronchi.
But
Okay.
they got him before he scored against India. Da.
Exactly. Luke Ronchi was
No.
like
He got Luke wrongly. Okay.
He scored in one game. That's why they picked him up. And then afterwards, he was. In fact,
He was lukewarm.
Harsha Bhogle even says
hang
that.
on. I remember this. Luke Ronchi had not made his international debut, I think, when he turned up for Mumbai Indians. He was
After
still
that, he played
debating.
for 2 countries.
Yeah, I think he was still debating between Australia and New Zealand.
It's 11:45. Can we speak of Dunit Velalage and stay on track?
But
great
on
performance.
serious note, Dunit Velalage
Fantastic
is fabulous. And the way these Sri Lanka brings out these left arm spinners like Prabhat Jayasuriya and now Dunit Velalage, this factory of guys they have. Like you thinking that without Wanindu and any of their other 4 bowlers like Chamira and all that, you thought that team would just be in like Afghanistan and Bangladesh would sweep past them. But getting past that again, Afghanistan was
And only
the
getting
ALS
swept by
nonsense.
India. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. I think that was fabulous. And the guy, man, forget about the bowling. He was batting so brilliantly that in that game, that Hardik spell and all that. But otherwise, he was doing really well. I thought they were running away with the game at that point, and I didn't expect him. And even Samira Vikrama, Sadira,
Samara Vikrama.
that guy was doing really well. So Sri Lanka, I think their stocks are really good. Now they need to figure out. They have that other problem now. Wanindu comes back, Chamira comes back. Now they have to figure out what to do with all of these people.
Yeah, and Sri Lanka, I mean, with the crazy streak and all, they had another thing, right? That they had bowled out every opposition in the last 14 games or something. Till obviously India this game.
Till they did not.
Pakistan in the last game. Yeah, last 2.
No, but just to answer to Mac's point, I think when Samira comes back, I think one of this Madhushan or someone goes out. I think it's fairly clear. Hasaranga kind of playing is a bit of a issue, but then you obviously have to take up a toss up between Velalage or him, right? I don't think the fast bowling is a fairly straight swap. Madhushan versus Chamira and there, but I think
the fast bowling, yes, but in spinners and plus because they operate with this entire thing of having DDS bowl and
Charita
all
Salanka
guys,
also bowling.
Asalanka bowls and all that. Right?
Correct.
That's the thing. But
I like how Max said they have good stocks, but problem with Sri Lanka is portfolio ठीक नहीं है, debt है बहुत ज़्यादा, stocks तो ठीक है, वही है problem. But we by the way lost all our Bangladesh listeners because you spoke about left arm spinner factory line, then you're not mentioning Bangladesh. Like, what? Give them something, da poor fellows. Like there also is Sri Lanka, that to their own enemies.
But their topmost.
So speaking of Bangladesh, Shakib is sitting out in the next tournament.
World
That is
Cup.
Cup only.
No, they're playing a warm up against New Zealand, and Tamim is coming back, and Shakib is sitting out.
When you say warm up, when you say warm up, as in a series.
Yeah,
proper series.
a bilateral. New Zealand is playing a bilateral against Bangladesh, and then
In Bangladesh.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Must be. Then now who's going to give visa to go all the way?
No, but
New
why
Zealand
didn't this South Africa, Australia, England, New Zealand all play in India while we were playing the Asia Cup? It would have made much more sense, though.
We have
Because
the
there
third
was
team,
fungus
right?
there.
Our team was quietly away. But
Yeah, but they're swapping out Tamim for Shakib in that series.
And is he going to come back as captain by any chance?
Has to, no? Shakib is the current captain.
Yeah.
Swapping out the current captain.
Sensational team selection.
Good, no? They're hedging their bets. They don't want too many injuries. So key players they're exposing minimally.
But speaking of Bangladesh team, Ashana's surprise pick, Tawheed Hriday, player to watch out for. I mean, he did turn up with the bat on a couple of occasions in the Asia Cup.
He stole hearts.
Yeah.
Hriday. Okay.
But the Firewalker...
Yes, I can confirm.
The Firewalker guy didn't have a good tournament.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Firewalker guy.
Afghanistan.
No,
Bangladesh.
Firewalker guy.
What's his name?
Naeem, I think.
Fazal
Nasum Ahmed or something, no?
Was it Naeem or Nasum?
Naeem only, no?
Nasum.
I think it was Naeem.
Because we
the
said
opener
remember
guy.
the Naeem, I think.
Yeah, it was the opener guy, and I don't think he had a good game.
Yeah, his
even
footwork was not
Gujarat.
good.
Here in
He was
not
not-
territory.
He was not fleet-footed.
Not voting with his feet.
Mohammad Naeem Sheikh.
Okay,
Very well,
anyway, so I think one thing that we didn't cover is basically Afghanistan not knowing that they could have hit a boundary
Correct.
and knocked Sri Lanka out.
Correct. When you said what is the one thing you learned from Asia Cup, this is the one thing I thought. Next time one team is in Duckworth-Lewis situation, they will know. It is not. There are many ways to skin the Duckworth-Lewis cat in the last few balls. That was really
No, but
sad.
just set that up. What happened there, Nitin Sundar? How could Afghanistan have got?
I think everybody knows except for Afghanistan what happened there. Yeah.
And PGK. Who doesn't know Aditya Tare?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that is. Yeah, it was so long. I don't even remember. Was it this Asia Cup? Yeah, this Asia Cup.
Yeah, Sri Lanka
Afghanistan
could have been
basically-
knocked out even before the Super Fours.
Yeah,
and
they needed to
could have
get
made
to
the Super Fours.
281 of 37.1 overs was the requirement.
Yeah.
They
Correct.
got to 280 after 37.1. They could have still gone through if they had hit a boundary of the next ball or the following ball, etc., which everybody knew. The commentators knew. Even Amir Sohail, who looks at replays and does live commentary, knew about this. But the players did not know.
If they just check Cricket for Crickbus, they would have known. And
Yeah,
Jonathan
but
Trott had
yeah,
no
correct.
idea.
Clearly, yeah. So
No,
I
but that
blame
was the
Jonathan
thing,
Trott.
right?
Lots
Yeah,
of-
they were 280 for 8, and Rashid was at the non-striker end, right? And 2 in 2 happened.
Yeah, they basically didn't know. If they had taken a single and hit a boundary, they could have still made it. But they thought it was over and they just wanted to get the consolation win. And in the end, didn't even get that. Not that it mattered.
They didn't even get a consolation. Yeah.
But it's sad that, if there is a big display board or something, these are the sort of things that should be displayed to the players out there and to the fans. But, well, that's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question,
Cool.
just a short one before wrapping this up. These things get relayed during the drinks break, right? Like there are like reams of sheets and all of that get sent out, right? Like even in
No,
say,
see, this scenario, this situation would have only become a live and real situation when it came down to the last ball. Nobody would have thought of this beforehand. Going forward, people will think of this. They will say, for us to qualify, we need to get 281 and 37.1 or 283 and 37.2 or blah, 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 right? That was not done this time. The only time they would have
I'm
realized.
sure
it would have
South
been the
Africa
last 2 or 3
already
balls.
knows this.
100% no. What are you saying? If South Africa, if they were following this Asia Cup, would have been, very
PTSD.
irritated. They would have been bugged that one chokeable, possibility was taken out of their hands. They can't actually use this to choke in the future because now they know.
Okay. So speaking of teaching an old dog new tricks, Venkatesh Prasad at this late age has learned how to bowl a wrong one. He had us completely hooked for a couple of days when he was on an assault against the nonsense that was happening in the world of cricket, where fans were being robbed of the opportunity to attend matches. And quietly, 2 days after he met PGK in the gym, actually made a complete U-turn and has now sort of released some other video. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say anything about this. Like, are cricketers really tweeting for themselves? What is happening with Irfan Pathan's Twitter account? What is happening with Venkatesh Prasad? Everyone seems unhinged on Twitter suddenly.
Yeah, I mean, Virender Sehwag putting out India versus Pakistan hashtag as Bhavi Pak and all of
that Mithali also did today.
Yeah, it was Bhavi SL or whatever. It's just crazy. Yeah. I mean, this all prompted Akshay Kumar to go change a teaser which had India's greatest rescue to Bharat's greatest rescue. I mean, and this is the level of, intellect that some of our Indian cricketers have. I mean, it's crazy.
They're all
What I
Bharat
just decided, let me know when I need
sons.
to change my passport.
Hey, it already says Bharat Ganraj on your passport. It doesn't need
Bharat
changing.
Rangaraja.
Bharat Ganaraj, Republic of India.
Oh, that and all is there. I have to check.
Arey,
No.
the constitution says India, that is Bharat. No, why do you need change? It is already, it's like saying Bharat, KS Bharat.
I don't know, man. I will show up.
Bharat,
I'll show up at
major.
I'll show up at Kempegoda. Then some CISF guy will not let me in. So I need to know exactly what is the situation here.
First
but
you
you should,
get tickets, no international game.
Hey,
I
that
have
ticket is
gotten
available.
tickets.
It's talking
I have
about flight
purchased
ticket, not
7
match
tickets.
ticket. There you go. No, but you should. You mentioned in passing. So, Nutgraph, PGK, and Venkatesh Prasad go to the same gym, and PGK has confirmed that the real Venkatesh Prasad doesn't look like the guy who might have tweeted the stuff that got tweeted and then got deleted. So, it is a very vexing situation. Much like Amir Sohail, we are also vexed by Venkatesh Prasad.
Yeah.
Speaking of cricketers and tweets, I urge everyone to go and check out Moin Khan's Twitter feed.
And Rashid Latif. Wasn't it Rashid Latif who had like...
was it Rashid Latif or Moin Khan? He was giving out expert
Rashid
advice
Latif.
on...
Rashid Latif.
They're still being confused for each other.
Oh, right.
kids
Rashid
will-
Latif. Yeah, he's the guy who
Rashid
comes on
Latif.
the
90s
the
kids,
show.
you remember.
But the best one here was, I think probably Tareque will know the writer or illustrator, one of them. I think the Hindu had done like a 2-page spread on the science of Neeraj Chopra's javelin throw and everything.
Jonathan Selvaraj's article, and I don't know who the artists were, but they had done like a terrific center spread on Neeraj Chopra's throwing skills.
Yeah. And the best part was at the end of it, Neeraj Chopra said, great article. Even I didn't know the science behind how I throw the javelin. So, yeah. On that note of throwing long and far, I think we have lamba fankified the shit out of this episode.
So समेटने का time आ गया अभी.
Yeah, to get to the point and hopefully land not flat. So thank you for listening to Bits and Pieces episode 89. If Sharda Ugra's episode was the first one you listened to, we are really sorry. But this is still the friendliest cricket podcast, and we'll be back next week with hopefully more cricketing action, India in action against Australia, and more variables to discover, including whether Ashna will make it to the India ODI squad as predicted. Till then, this is Tony, Max, Tareque, Vaishnavi, Samir, and Nitin signing off on episode 89 of Bits and Pieces. Thank you. Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.